lovely start to the garden. Probably mentioned this already before, but I'll say it again. My favorite time to get my planting done is around Victoria Day weekend up in here in Canada, because before that you're going to have a little bit of weather that's going to be so spastic, like the last gasp of winter is going to be around. You might get some frost overnight, so you kind of run the risk of losing some vegetables. And I know I had some family members last year who had some frost and kind of killed their cucumbers. But once you get to third weekend in May, then you're kind of safe sailing, and then you can get your planting done like you see over here. I'm doing my usual stuff: lettuce, tomato, cucumber, with some basil, chamomile, and I always like to try one experiment. In this case, this year, it's going to be asparagus. I've never done it before, but here's hoping that it's going to work out. Fingers crossed, everyone. And speaking of which, welcome to another edition of the Wananyuki Cheese Cafe. So today is actually one of the milder days that we've had all week. Early in the week, it was getting to mid to high 20s. Today's like high of 19 degrees, and I'm talking Celsius. Don't ask me how to calculate that in Fahrenheit. But even with this wind, I want to do a little bit of a grilling episode today, because I haven't been doing much cooking episodes at home in quite some time. Obviously, I did my barbecue tuna steak a little while back, and today I'm going to go for pork tenderloin in a seasoning that I put together a little while back, which might sound familiar to you, and only because I haven't done pork in ages. And it's a fun time to do it. So we're gonna get right started to this. Right started? God, I don't know how to speak today, again. But before we do that, here's what I suggest that you do. Hit that subscribe button below, put your notification bell on. That way, if there's ever a new video that's ready to view, you're gonna get a pop-up on your phone that it's ready to view. And just like I had here, because I saw my video is going live at 5 p.m. That's always the time. Every Friday, 5 p.m., you're getting a new one. And just give me a thumbs up. I don't know if you watched the whole episode, 2 minutes, whatever. Just give me a like. The more likes I get, the more it's promoted across YouTube. Now, something appeared up on my deck. I'm gonna go find out what it is. I have a pretty good feeling what I'm gonna be finding. Well, as luck would have it, my beer vessel has already been prepared for me, along with the seasoning and my actual beer. It's one case where I don't have to go digging around a dungeon in this backyard, or even fishing out from a tree, or digging it from underground. Yeah, don't ask about that. I have no idea what happened, but at least it's here right in front of me. And this beer I have is a pretty good one from the Farnham Ale and Lager Company, and it's their New England IPA called South Burlington. This is one I'm pretty familiar with, because it's one that I had, during one of my runs along Plaza Saint-Hubert, and I had this one up at Le Nestor before I went to Le Vestiaire. Le Nestor is pretty kick-ass, because one thing I liked when I was passing by is that they got a nice Bowmore mural that's on the side of the building there, so it makes me think, high-quality Scotch. Such good stuff. But anyways, if you wanted to see that one, here's my suggestion. Click on the link on the top right corner, and you can revisit that whole shindig I did back in, I think it was January. Yep, it was January. And once again, New England IPAs need no introduction, especially if you've been watching me for the last almost 4 years online. It's good stuff, good amount of head. The strength is only going to be 5.8%. Well, especially since they're saying it's number 58, so that's a dead giveaway. Cheers to Friday good weather and Friday grilling. Now that's delicious. I'm definitely enjoying this beer over here. It's a little under halfway done, but just been taking my time and relaxing and just enjoying the sights, sounds, the breeze that's outside, even if it's some heavy wind. My pork is outside, but I want to do some preparation for something else too, because I realize that I always like to do vegetables on the barbecue, and sometimes I like to do some experimental stuff that I've never done on the channel, or in some cases, because I'm so weird, that I'll do things like grill a kiwi or grill a piece of celery. But I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today, and it's Brussels sprouts. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have my grilling plate here, paring knife, and I picked up this little plate of Brussels sprouts at my local fruit store because I saw they were on sale for like this amount, I can't give you the net weight, it's about $1.97 or so. So that's a pretty big steal if you ask me. And if you're like me, you probably saw a lot on TV that Brussels sprouts are supposed to be kind of nasty. Like if you're being given those as a kid, it's almost like a punishment. So you always think that they're one of the worst vegetables on the planet. But the truth is that I've had them before. If you do want to see when I did have that, click the link on the top right corner. And that's a time that I did a visit on the Plateau Montreal to Bungalow and then tried duck confit for the first time. I found it's not bad. It's a bit of a bitter vegetable, but you know, you get used to it eventually. And there's a way that you could prepare that's pretty easy. So what you would do then, you just have to see this little snub over here. You just have to pare it down, remove that, because this part is going to be very tough and hard to eat through. So it's not going to serve any purpose to have it on. Then next thing you would be doing is, well, I guess I'll put it on here, is slicing it in half. Yeah, I was just looking up quickly like best ways to prepare Brussels sprouts, and this is what came up for me. And there you go. You're going to keep doing that for the entire batch. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing the full thing on camera because nobody wants to see me work that stuff all the time. It's like watching me chop garlic or peel garlic. There's certain limits. Yep, like I said, I like to do something new from time to time. And it also helps that this thing cost me like $2. For someone that didn't really do as many vegetables over the years on the barbecue, like select ones, I'm really enjoying doing more veggies. Good vitamins, good taste, because you can enjoy veggies just as much on the grill as you can meat. Okay, so that's the last one. Hang on, just have to have this. There we go. So that's all of my Brussels sprouts right here. And I got as much of the leaves as possible. These stumps I'm just gonna compost afterwards. And I'm gonna keep it aside because it's soon gonna be time to start the fire. So yeah, I'm kind of stoked and a little bit curious to see how this turns out because again, the last time I had Brussels sprouts was at a restaurant, and I'm kind of realizing that maybe the part of the reason that it was tasty enough is because this thing was actually cooking in some duck fat, because duck confit, you're cooking in its own fat for like hours on end, and then you're giving it crisp flavoring. So maybe without the fat, it could still be good, but we'll find out. But that's not to say there's not going to be no fat, because I am putting some pork tenderloin on, and I guess it's going to be a good time to show you what I'm going to be using for this. This stuff is my homemade barbecue seasoning, which you might have seen me put together back in January/February, only because I don't remember the exact time and I don't want to go digging too deep on that. If you want, there's a card in the top right corner to see me put it all together. But to give you the Coles notes of this stuff is essentially just brown sugar, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, a lot of paprika, dry mustard, and maybe a few other ingredients that I'm not remembering right now, but that's the essential part of it. And I made that comment a while back that when I made my barbecue chicken with dry rub on here, I thought this kind of looks like and smells like barbecue seasoning, so it was very similar. And you just mix it all up together and you're good to go with it. The one thing you need to remember is that brown sugar might solidify a little bit, so you may have to do some work to desolidify it and mix it around and get rid of the hard stuff. But my plan is just take my pork tenderloin, dab a little bit of olive oil, and then douse the seasoning onto here, because the olive oil is going to help bind it all together and help it cook really nice. So maybe what we should do is get the fire started very soon.
Stand my ground, won't be turned.
Well, if Bullwinkle could pull a rabbit out of his hat, or at least pull whatever else besides a rabbit out of his hat, I could pull a beer out of my hat. Because I'm already out of fuel after all that work I've been doing. I want to try to go for something brand new instead of my New England IPA. So what I got here is something from the Corsair brewery. Seems like that they have a lot of pirate themed ones. I've had the USS Vermont one, which is their New England IPA, but I wanted to get this one just because of the name. It's Queen Anne's Revenge, which is supposed to be like one that's a white beer with raspberry, Camarines, and hibiscus, or hibiscus, however the fuck you're supposed to pronounce it. Camarines is supposed to be haskap berries, so I think that's supposed to be found in like Sweden. Because I feel like haskap jelly is something I've seen at IKEA before, but people who shop at IKEA a lot more than me can correct me in the comments section. But the main reason I picked this one up is because Queen Anne's Revenge is essentially Blackbeard the Pirate's ship. So I thought this is a pretty awesome one to get because I wanted pirates. I love Assassin's Creed 4. That's the pirate theme one where you're going through the golden age of piracy in the Caribbeans. And it's not something I do very often because it's a very fruity raspberry one. It's only a few friends I'm with that I like to do it with. But from time to time, I will experiment for the purposes of this channel. Whoa, stop that. I mean, it's a nice touch, but I'm not exactly a drunken sailor. Because how I'd be sailing on my deck in my backyard? Actually, I don't think I want to even know that. As you can see here, it's a very red beer because it's got Camarines and raspberry. And it kind of made me think of pouring blood, like a pirate got decapitated or something. But the beauty is that it's only 4.9%, so it's not very strong, or it's like regular strength compared to a typical Pilsner you get. Cheers to the golden age of piracy. Okay, not bad. I know a friend or two that will probably enjoy this one, so I'm going to send that recommendation to them over our little group chat. But for now, whoop, my fire's out, so that means it's time to close it up, open the top vent, and then let that work its magic to preheat it, and then I can get my vegetables and my pork all set to go. Lovely. You know, it's kind of funny. Originally, I thought I had all of them lit up, but when I was looking at my fire before, it seemed like that 3 out of the 4 were burning properly. One of the fire stars didn't really light up as much because it kind of died part way. I think because this stuff was exposed to the rain, so it was probably a little bit wet at first. But luckily, I just had to relight it again, and then we were good. But on that note, I've got my Brussels sprouts here on the plate. I'm just going to lay it down onto the grill here, and then let it cook for about a good... Actually, I'm going to move it over here, and I'll let it cook for maybe a good 20 minutes or so, or maybe less than that, because the idea is that you want this to just soften up enough that it's not going to be too crunchy when you're eating it. So next thing I'm going to do then is get my pork all prepared. Now, I've got a couple of plastic gloves here that I'm going to be using to handle this, because, you know, when it comes to raw pork, you don't want to mess with that stuff, because that can mess you up pretty bad. Usually when I get my pork tenderloin, I go to Costco because you can get them pretty decently priced. Like we're talking 4, 5, sometimes 6 pork tenderloins all together, where when you divide it up for each unit, you're looking at maybe $4 a piece. So that's actually pretty decently priced. I like to split it in 2 and then freeze them up and then eventually get to them. So pork tenderloin. In case you're wondering, yep, beef also has a tenderloin too, and you probably already know it because it's known as filet mignon. So that's a very tender piece of meat. Thing is that it's pretty expensive, so you won't necessarily be getting it all the time for yourself. unless you're rich and you have so much money to spend, you don't know what to do with it. But I'm sure other people have other ways that they'll be spending their money. But without further ado, pork tenderloin is here. And I'm just going to dab a little bit of olive oil on it now. Like probably the equivalent of 1 teaspoon worth, maybe 2. Because the thing I want to do is I just want to coat it up well with this oil so that it's going to bind together with the barbecue seasoning that I'm going to be using. Take note too, I have some plastic wrap also on this because I wanted to protect myself once more. There. So that's good. So what I'm going to do is, this one glove is going to be taken off. I'm going to throw it into my pork bag right here, and then I'm going to start to apply the barbecue seasoning that I got on the side. Now there's no real measurement for this. You just put as much as you want until it's coated on here. But truth is, it's not the first time I've done these dry rubs on the pork. I've done my typical one that's with a honey barbecue sauce in the past, but I learned that dry rub can work pretty extraordinary even on its own without the sauce. If you want to see that one too, the top right corner, you're going to have a link to watch that video that I recorded back in May 2022. Oh, May 2022. That was a pretty rough time. So just take a spoonful worth and then just lay it on top. And you could be as generous or as liberal as you want with this, because eventually it's all going to rub off, stick, and any remnants you have on the plastic, you could just roll it around with your glove and then make sure it's all coated in as well. Oh, love this stuff. And I'm kind of stoked to see how it's going to turn out on the barbecue, because I've used this on steak, I've used this on probably some pieces of meat, even fish, but I've yet to try it on pork. And this is one that I know is going to go really well with it. There. So that's a little generous. Put that aside. Get glove number 2. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to rub it around. And I'm going to do it to the center because any excess that I have, I'm just going to try to lay it on top onto the bottom of this pork tenderloin. Or actually, maybe what I should do is just apply a little bit more at this rate. Yeah, that might actually be a good idea. Just throw a little bit more. I just have to be very careful with this because I am maneuvering with half a contaminated hand. Not half a contaminated hand. What am I talking about? So, 1, 2 for good measure. There we go. So I'll just give it a nice massage. At this point, I'm not looking for consistency or evenness. I just want to get it slightly seasoned so that I can have a bit of flavor on each side. There we go. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to take each one of your fillets, lay it onto the grill, just like so. Like that. That's 1. And there we go. Is number 2 right here. And then just to make sure nothing goes to waste, I'm going to rub a little bit more on this. I mean, I worked hard in the seasoning, right? I don't want to put it to waste, right? There. Come on. It's perfect. So then close it up. Take off the glove. And I'm just going to take this plastic and throw it into the bag also. Probably going to need to do a little bit of cleanup because there was some dripping that happened with the seasoning, but it is what it is. So what you want to do is you're going to want to let this cook overall for 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your preference. Now, halfway through, you're going to want to give it a good flipping. So like 7.5 minutes later, you're going to flip it around so it starts to cook on the other side. Or 10 minutes if you want to be really safe with this, because obviously, like I've said, with pork, that's one type of meat you don't want to mess with because you can get really sick if it's undercooked. But there is a little trick to remember too, is if you see it slightly pink in the center, don't worry. And I'm going to explain that to you once it's all done. Now, supper is all served over here. You might notice if you've been following me for a while that I don't have a baked potato with me, because that's usually a staple whenever I do a barbecue. But I thought, I've got Brussels sprouts, I got pork tenderloin, which could be pretty filling, but I also had some leftover vegetables from when I did a little grilling earlier in the week when I had a long weekend. There's red pepper, broccoli, asparagus, all delicious stuff because those things are drenched with some olive oil and my homemade Greek salad seasoning mix. I didn't do the Greek salad seasoning mix on camera before, but I'll reference it again. My barbecue tuna steak, and that video is going to be on the top right corner. So I got myself a nice slice over here, or like a few pieces of tenderloin, and I did mention that you could cook it, but even if there's a little bit of pink, that's fine. And the reason is because all you got to do is make sure it's cooked to a certain internal temperature so that it's safe for consumption. If you're going by the color, then you'll think the center has to be fully brown. Thing is that you might dry it up so much that you lose some of the juices, and it might not be as pleasant to eat. It's like if you have a steak, but you always do it so well done to the point that you have to have it with ketchup, because otherwise it's like having it with, you know, like a really chewy piece of meat. Pork tenderloin you can cook to Fahrenheit 145 degrees, so you're still fine. So that's why on the center here you can actually get away with a little pink, because it also doesn't affect the texture. Now, I'm going to give this a taste test to see how it turned out. Ooh, very delicious. And that barbecue seasoning just hits you. It's like, it's good, you don't think about it, but it just sneaks up on you. But I do feel like the big test is going to be the Brussels sprout, because again, the last time I had this was when I was having it with duck confit, so the duck fat probably flavored up a little bit. So we'll see how these are on its own, just on the fire. And okay, you know what? It's actually not bad when it's on the grill. A buddy of mine told me that when it's pan fried, it's pretty awesome. So I guess if you're into this, it's highly recommended. Slightly bitter, but I feel like if I can have broccoli sometimes, like grilled, I can have this. No, I'm gonna have another piece. Oh, almost lost it. Delicious. So here we are. Fine pork tenderloin, great barbecue seasoning to go with it. Plenty of vegetables here galore to the point where I don't think I'm going to be losing any fiber in my system. And perfect new beers to try out, especially this Pirate Nectar. Great way to, well, technically this is going to be the last full weekend of May already. Hard to believe because it feels like that the month just started. It's another one of those months I feel like I didn't even see fly by because so much was going on and, you know, having fun and etc. But on that note, it's time to enjoy the rest of this off camera. Thanks for watching this latest edition of the Wanayuki Cheese Cafe, everybody. So once again, if you like what you see, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my cooking, my wanders in the city, storytelling, and every antic that comes its way. Wow. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, like if you have something I should do at home, someplace I should check out down the road, leave in the comment section. I'll try to integrate it. Till then, take care, see you next time, and enjoy your long weekend, everybody. What am I saying? If you're American, Memorial Day is coming up, so you have a long weekend. Us Canadians, we already had ours, so, you know, you can't do a twofer.